Welcome to episode 27 of the WISCA webcast Suited Up. Today, as always, we're joined by Phil McDade, WISCA blogger, and today's special guest is Abby Wanezek from Brookfield East High School. Welcome to the big show, Abby.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk today.
For those that don't know, why don't you just talk about how you got introduced to swimming and if swimming is a big part of your family?
Okay, yeah. So swimming is definitely a big part of my life. I've been swimming since pretty much I could walk. I got into swim lessons, mommy me classes, and kind of just over time just developed into doing the club swimming and having it become more of a competitive sport. And I've just always enjoyed racing and being with my teammates. But in terms of my family background with it, both my mom and my dad swam in college. So, and also my aunts and uncles have swam as well. So it definitely is a big part of my life. And my sisters swim, some of my cousins swim. So the tradition of that is still going on, but yeah.
I have to say, and Phil, you can back me up on this, the Wanezek name might be one of the larger family names in Wisconsin high school swimming of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some siblings that have been quite, like the Delacuses come immediately to mind, the O'Donnells come to mind, but yeah, I'd say for generational, spanning many generations, it'd be hard to top you guys.
So you swim at Brookfield East. You probably swim for Elmbrook Club. Why don't you just talk about growing up in Elmbrook and how that was going at swimming at East or swimming at Central?
Yeah, so I think I've been on Elmbrook since I was about 7, and it's been kind of nice because it's a super welcoming family, and they did know our family just because my dad swam on the team, my aunt swam on the team, so it was just, I love the coaches there, I love the team environment there, and it's a little bit sad that I'm going to be done with Elmbrook in a year and moving on to college, but it's been my home for so long, and they're always so supportive. So it's a great team environment. And in terms of Brookfield East swimming, it's the same way. A lot of those same girls from Elmbrook are on the Brookfield East team. And I love my coach, Coach Rose. And it's just a really great environment. And again, always supportive. So I'm super excited for this season. It's going to be a great one, I know. So.
And what are your plans for next year?
I will be going to swim at UW-Madison, so super excited for that.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you, Abby, about was, there's a lot of talk in swimming circles about club versus high school swimming, and you and your teammates have seemed to have the real benefit of having a coach that really nurtured you through your developmental years, leading up to the various steps of high school, and then he's your high school coach. He's not your club coach during the year, but he's your high school coach. Tell me about Mike's involvement on both sides of that, because he gets you when you're really, establishing your name as high school swimmers, and yet he saw you during your developmental years.
Yeah, so he definitely, as my age group coach, I think I was with him for maybe 2 years, I think.
Gotcha.
And it was just, he definitely helped me turn into a really great swimmer. He helped me with my technique. He helped me to kind of enjoy racing, which obviously as a swimmer, you definitely have to enjoy racing to love the sport. So that was always great. And then kind of heading into having that gap where I was in the senior group and then moving on to high school, he always has just been super supportive, and we have a really great connection just because we've known each other for so long and he knows my family. So I'm super comfortable with him. So I would go to him about anything. And again, a little bit bittersweet that we're going to be leaving. This is the final season of coaching, but again, he's just always been there for me. And I'm super thankful that he's been my coach for these past few years.
I was doing some research prior to the conversation tonight and noticed that you've won some state titles, some individual state titles. Your aunt did, your dad certainly did. But you kind of have an up on them because you folks have actually won state team titles, and Brookfield East was runner-up twice during Tom's years in high school, coached by none other than Mike Rose. So thought that was interesting. You girl, and I've seen your team on deck quite a bit in the past couple of years. It seems to be a pretty close, environment among that group of swimmers. You've been working out and swimming with each other for, since 9, 10, I suppose. Tell me how that nurtures the accomplishments you folks have done in the pools the last few years.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of going off of what you said, it's definitely, there's one thing to win a state individual title, but it's a totally different thing to win a state team title. It just, in my opinion, there's nothing better to win something with your team and with your school, just because, I don't know, it's with your peers and it's a really great experience. I will always say that the high school state meet is my favorite meet by far, just with, the atmosphere there, and everyone is just cheering and super supportive. So again, there's nothing better than swimming a race and doing it for your team.
So you won just this past year, the 2020 state meet, and last fall you won the 50 free, the 100 free for those who may be watching. You set a state record in the 50 free. You had entered high school as kind of like a sort of semi-free, but also a backstroker. Tell me a little bit about your transition to what now appears to be a pretty healthy diet of straight sprinting, because you're also anchoring or leading off some free relays for the Spartans.
Yeah, I think that there definitely has been a lot of development, especially I remember for my freshman year, we didn't really have much of a strength program. We kind of just did a little bit of dry land here and there, but as I entered my sophomore year, the Brookfield East got a new strength coach, and he has just done wonders for our team. I think that everyone has gotten so much stronger and it has learned so much. And I think that that's also, I mean, there is like swimming and training super hard in the pool, but there's also working outside of the pool to become even better. And I think that that's what has helped me a lot to kind of gear more into the sprints, just because I've gotten a little bit stronger. Sure. And then have kind of, once I realized after my sophomore year that the sprint was kind of what I wanted to focus on, then I just stuck with it and kind of realized it was a little bit, we didn't have too many sprinters on our team back when I was a freshman and sophomore. So I was like, oh, this can be my spot. I can take this place. And then it's just stuck from there.
So how many days are you in the weight room during the high school season?
We are in the weight room 3 times. So I think it's Monday mornings, Friday mornings, and then Saturday mornings. And it's usually, I think Mondays and Fridays are 30 to 45 minutes. And then Saturdays are 45 minutes to an hour. So, and I just, again, our strength coach is a really great guy, Steve Linsmeyer. And again, have just learned so much from him, and yeah, it's great.
So a funny story that I have to relate. We all know you're the guy who really is the brains behind your swim meets, which is Chad Knudsen, who scores all your meets. And I went to a meet and Chad took me aside and he said, Abby's kind of beating Riley sometimes in practice and in meets. And referencing Riley Tillman, who's gone on to a stellar career already at Virginia. It's got to be pretty intense to have that level of peer competition in the pool, that your practices must be pretty intense. I mean, you guys have a bunch of really high level swimmers, and the sense I got from Mike was that you all kind of benefited from that going up against Riley Tillman and swimming alongside, even your sister, is just a pretty dynamic atmosphere for practices. Is it that way?
Yes, it is. And I honestly think that is what tends to set us apart, is just having those high level athletes to train with. It's really great because it kind of gives you a feel for who you will be racing against too. Especially, I know today we did a race pace type set, And just to like race against my teammates, it's, again, there's nothing better. And it kind of makes me more motivated in practice, because obviously sometimes you have those practices where it's like, oh, I don't really want to be here, like stuff like that. But I feel like being with my teammates and racing, and they're always there saying, good job, like you got this, one more. It just pushes me to work even harder in practice.
Gotcha. We had talked to Mike shortly after the state meet last year, and I had commented on him because I do this as looking at sort of relay lineups, and I just thought he was nuts to have you anchor the Medley relay last year, because I just thought it was going to be a close state meet with Arrowhead, and you could have used you on 2 free relays, and he said that you guys really wanted to push that Medley relay record, and for those watching, it was a Medley relay that as a state record, it stood around for a long time. Kyle, you saw those Arrowhead girls when they set that, and you came close to the national record of 138 something set out by, I think, Colorado Fossil Ridge. Tell us about your, I mean, was that really a goal of you guys to, I mean, you seem to have almost the perfect pieces to do that with your sister leading off and back, and Riley on fly and Lucy on breaststroke and you anchoring. Was that a real goal of you guys?
Yes, that honestly had been a goal since my freshman year, which is a little bit weird, but we kind of just knew that the pieces were going to come together at some point. Like, oh, once Riley's a senior and Megan's a freshman and Lucy's a sophomore, you know, it's all going to come together. And we had talked about at the beginning of the season, we're like, this is the relay. This is what we want to focus on. And we focused on it at practice. We focused on it at the different dual meets that we had. It just we always had it in the back of our mind, and just to come even close to it and get another state record, it was great. And we're super happy with what we accomplished. And relays are my favorite thing. I love anchoring them. I just love being on them, especially high school relays. So it was a super exciting experience.
Well, I don't know, Kyle, you were there too. I'm not sure I've seen a more impressive relay performance out of it. It's been a long time. I mean, other relays are impressive, but they're breaking records by, you know, a tenth or, you know, 0.15 or something. You guys went under 140 like it was nothing. It was really cool to see.
So
yeah, it was fun, especially and just having like Arrowhead right next to us too. I know that we were definitely being pushed, even if it was a little bit more of a big gap.
Yeah.
So what does the team look like this year? I won't hold you to it, and I won't call Coach Rose tonight and after this, but what do you see for the team this year? I mean, you're missing a piece from the Medley relay. What are some of your goals, and what are some of your team goals?
Yeah, so I'll start with the team goals. So I know that definitely our goal is to win state again. That definitely has been a goal since the beginning. But I think we also, again, like with the missing piece of the medley, we might decide to focus a bit more on the 200 free relay, which we definitely have another chance at a state record for that if we kind of stack up that relay, and even maybe a national record if we can get all the splits to line up. But I think just in general, our main goal is just to score as the most points we possibly can. I think that's the really big goal. And then in terms of individual, I'm going to be swimming the 1500 free again. And I would really like to win both of those events, obviously. And hopefully my big goal this year is to break the 100 free state record, which it's insanely fast, but I definitely am like thinking about that again in the back of my mind at practices, and just to really focus on that. But it's exciting. I'm already looking forward to high school state. So
well, I just to follow up, and we've only been talking for 15 minutes now. You are the most positive high school senior that I've ever been around. Like every answer is, I love my team. There's got to be days when, like you said before, when you don't want to go to practice, or things are getting you down, or you maybe had a tough test in AP class. How do you balance all those things together? Because being at the level that you're at and the academic level that you're at, there's got to be some times when things get hard, right? And you can't always rely on your team to pull you up sometimes it has to come from within. Do you listen to your favorite song? Do you binge watch Friends for an hour? I mean, what kind of things do you do to stay as excited and positive that you are?
Yeah, so I'm definitely, I know that you're talking about a favorite song. I love listening to music. My dad has always loved listening to music, so I think it's something that kind of got passed down. But it does help me kind of like get away from the world a little bit. I can kind of like collect my thoughts and like reflect a little bit. But another thing too is I feel like sometimes at practice, just getting in the water helps clear my mind, which is a little bit weird, but also nice too, just because if I've had like a bad day at school or something's wrong elsewhere, if I just like get in the pool and kind of just, sometimes we play music at practice, just kind of get in my own zone. That also really helps too. And I usually am in a better mood, definitely after practice.
I would have to, as a person who works full time and then I go to practice, it is a great release from the rest of society and the rest of the world, just to be with the team. Even if I'm not clicking with everybody, it's a good release from the rest of the world of what's really going on out there. So what is your favorite song? What runs through your head? And actually, more importantly, what does Coach Rose allow to be played at practice?
Yes, he's an old guy.
He's older than me.
I think he pretty much just allows whatever, I mean, obviously clean music, but kind of whatever the team really wants. I know that a lot of people like to listen to the throwback songs like 2000s. I mean, that's not too far. I mean, past, yeah. But still, it's fun. And in terms of like a favorite song, I don't really know if I can't, a favorite song doesn't come to mind, but I definitely have a few favorite artists. I've always listened to Taylor Swift, like just ever since I've been little. I really like listening to Taylor Swift. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite song of hers, but definitely someone I like to listen to a lot.
Potential DJ for the Boys State meet, Kyle.
Yes,
I'm just
exactly.
thinking right now.
Yeah.
Sign her up. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, and I've gotten to know your dad a little bit in the last few years. Most parents of swimmers aren't at the level that your dad was. Do you talk with him about swimming, or does he pretty much let you kind of go your own path and is there for support, but doesn't really, get into strategy or training or anything like that? I'm interested in the dynamic between the two of you and your mom as well.
So I think sometimes there's a little bit of a mix. Like I think sometimes what he tends to ask is like, okay, so do you want me to like help you on this? Do you want my help, or do you just want to try and figure it out your own way? And usually he does end up helping. Like I know the other day we were talking about obviously the 50 free. It's kind of, in my opinion, like you have to work on perfecting the event, especially the 50-yard free where it's just like bang, bang. Yep. But we were kind of talking about doing we did like a little breathing exercise, like focus on like trying not to breathe. Like my goal is to try not to breathe at all on the 50. Like he kind of helped me work through that. And so he definitely, sometimes he sits back and just like lets me figure it out myself, but he also does, like to kind of focus in on like, oh, this is something that you could do to make you even better. And it helps, especially in my 50, when I can really, I don't know, just focus on my technique. So.
No, I've always thought that's, in a weird way, it's never, and we'll talk about this later, it's never come up as the hardest event, but I've always thought in a weird way it's the hardest mental event for swimmers, because at an elite level, one little thing goes wrong and you're a little bit slower off the blocks, you miss your turn, your breakout isn't what it was. As you well know, that's the difference maybe between first and second, or between a record versus not. Have you worked on developing your sort of mental approach and mental toughness for that race in particular?
Yes, I have, for sure. Especially going through with the long course season too. I kind of had run into a little bit of like staying at the same time continuously. And it was just like a little bit like bogged me down a little bit. I was like, oh, like a little bit frustrating. But I kind of just took some time to like reflect back and really think like, okay, what do I need to do to become even better? that's what I always really focus on during practices. Is there any way that I can become any way better through this practice? And especially on the race pace days where we do like sprint 50 sometimes, I really am just like, okay, how do I want to swim this race in a meet? And how can I swim like that in this practice? And then that's what has really helped me to get even continuously better at the 50, even though it's one of the hardest events to drop in.
Yeah, I spend way too much on swim, but I was astonished this past sort of few months about how technical Dressel is with his 50 free and how much he and his coaches just spend on like little stuff, like is his last kick underwater off his start before he breaks out, is it up or is it more of a downstroke, and just the angles of his arms, and it just is amazing, just the stuff that they focus on that you really, most people would never even notice. And I assume at some level you're doing some of that.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because we're like watching the Olympics, and now with the ISL starting, my dad and I were talking about, he was like, you should swim the 50 like Caleb Dressel. And I was like, well, I'd like to, but I'm also like not the same exact size. But then I was like thinking too, I'm like, well, I could also kind of implement some of his like technique into my 50, even without having the big arms. But so, but yeah, it's crazy. His technique and the way he swims it's just insane.
So what was interesting, and not to drop a story here, but coming out of Omaha, Ben mentioned to me that literally of the really elite swimmers, Dressel may be like the least physically imposing. Like there's a bunch of big, guys like Kalish is big, and all those sprinters are, and he's really not. There's not, he's medium sized, and I remember writing a story about you and Sophie Fisk facing off in the 50 free, and not being, there's not quite a foot difference in your heights, but it's half a foot, and how you get a lot out of what is not a very tall, muscular package. And I think a lot of that seems to do with your technique. Your underwaters are great and all that. So it seems like it's been something you've been working on a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of, I know you mentioned the underwaters. That's definitely something that I've been working on a lot too, just because I feel like in this day and age of swimming, underwaters have become a super big thing. Like they're almost the fifth stroke. And I know when I've been working on them, they tend to be a little bit faster than my stroke above the water. So I was like, oh, okay, I can focus more on this and then I can get even faster. So that's another thing too, especially with the 50 free in short course, really focusing on like driving my underwaters and my breakouts. That's definitely something that has helped as well.
Yeah.
So when do you take a break from swimming? Do you ever take any time? I mean, all honesty, because when I was coaching, even at Divine Savior, like some of the freshmen would be going to zones or something, and I'd say, well, why don't you just take like a couple days off before you come back? Because that was right at the beginning of the high school season, and it'd get to be like the second day, and they'd say, I got to come back, I got to start swimming. I just can't be out of the water this long. And I'd be like, at some point, do you as a person, as a swimmer, do you feel like you need like a physical break or a mental break, like of a day, or like, because a weekend off doesn't really constitute it. So what are you doing to stay mentally sharp and without like getting out of swimming shape, and just to get away from the sport for a little bit?
Yeah, so actually after Irvine, I know me and Maggie both talked, and we definitely needed like a physical, mental break, which again, with every sport and everything, you do need a break. It's super healthy. So we took about a week off, and we actually went to my grandparents' lake house, and it's really nice to just like not even be in that environment too, just to kind of have the mental break. It was really great. And then coming back in the water too, I feel like it's good to just take a week, and then sometimes if it's like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that's when you start to like physically get out of shape. So that's what I've always done, is usually take about a week, and I'm planning on taking about a week after high school season to heading into club as well. So again, it's healthy, and I know that it helps me maybe kind of like reset from club and then move into a new season at high school, because obviously those two things, they have their differences.
Right.
Okay, I've got two more questions. So or we could go on for. I want to talk to you about serving as kind of you've got two younger sisters. Maggie's obviously pretty well known to most swim fans. Just finished up her freshman year with a great year, and I got to see your little sister Caroline at the long course state meet. Do you kind of feel any obligation to be kind of a mentor to this household of swimmers in which you're kind of the older figure, or are you just all kind of buddies and you're all doing this together? Or tell me a little bit about your role as the senior Wanezek swimming.
Yeah, I think it's really great to have both of my sisters in the same sport because we can kind of relate as to what we are doing. And it's pretty exciting because now that Caroline, she's gonna move up to the senior group, our group, after our high school season. So we're all three gonna be in the same group, which has never happened. So it'll be fun to have Maggie's always has pretty much been my training partner, but now Caroline can even be my training partner, which
cool.
Is going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm sad that I'm going to miss out on having that high school season with her too. But I feel like I've always just kind of going back, but have always really tried to support each other. And when someone is having a bad day, a bad practice, we can kind of like get in the car and say like, hey, like, no worries. It happens to everyone. Like, you'll be fine the next day, and kind of just like cheer each other up when we're feeling down. So I feel like that's kind of been my role, especially as I've gotten older, is to just be there when they need it. Because obviously we're sisters, but we're also best friends.
So. Yeah, cool. And so finally, not to skip over this year, but you're headed to Wisconsin to swim. I know in talking to your dad, you had a number of other schools kind of in the mix. His alma mater, your aunt's alma mater at Texas was kind of in the mix. What led you to choose Wisconsin? They've got a relatively new coach in Yuri. What attracted you to Wisconsin and the swim team there?
Yeah, I think that their team, it's really growing right now, and I think it is partially because of the newer coaching staff and the coaching. I love the coaching staff. I actually just had a dinner with Coach Christie and Coach Yuri, and it just makes me super excited because they are super motivated to make the team even better, which makes me super motivated to be there and to be on a team that is going to keep getting better. And then also just obviously the teammates are a super big part of why I chose it. I know that when I went there for an unofficial visit, I was able to see Blair, who is now one of my, who's going to be now one of my teammates, and we both hadn't decided where we were going yet. And I think we just really connected. And now the other girls that have committed in my class, we all have really connected. And it just makes me super excited to be there and be with the team that's really positive and all work super hard in practice, and just to be in the Big Ten too. That definitely was one of my dreams.
Blair didn't talk you into joining her distance training group?
Oh, no. Yeah.
She's a serious miler.
Yep. I will not.
She is really good.
She is.
Yeah, saw her trials, and she's a seriously good distance swimmer. Mm-hmm. So, that'll be fun. That's neat. I mean, it seems, and I know, some of your future teammates are folks you swam against here in Wisconsin. I know Emma Lasecki's there now, and Sophie Fisk, of course, and it seems as if that there's a growing cadre of Wisconsin-based swimmers there. So I can imagine the excitement of joining the team.
Well, yeah. I'm always for keeping the homegrown talent close to home. So
yes. Sorry, I was gonna say, I know that Coach Yuri, I remember when he was talking to me, he was like, yeah, we want to really make sure to keep the home state swimmers here. So, but yeah.
So we finish this with a couple rapid fire questions. And being a sprinter, this should be no problem for you. Okay. So are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. What is your favorite pool?
Definitely. Well, it's gone now, but the Natatorium at Madison.
That's your favorite pool?
Yes, actually it is. I know everyone always questions me on that, but it's just the environment there. I don't know, just something about it.
What is your favorite event?
The 50 free.
For sure. favorite race that you watched in high school, not that you were in it, but that you watched in person. Not doesn't have to be a high school race, but it could be any race that you've watched that you were physically there to watch.
I would say watching this past summer, watching my sister win the 100 backstroke. I remember I was behind the lane and just seeing her come in and finish and just ahead of the other girl. It was super exciting.
The toughest high school event.
Honestly, I think it's the 200.
You could say the 50 free again.
Yeah, so I actually think it's the 200 IM. I don't swim it that much, but I'm swimming it at a dual meet on Thursday, so we'll see. But the times that I've swam it, it's just really hard in my opinion.
Because you have to compare yourself with like people like Lucy who like know how to breaststroke versus faking it, I assume.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
What would be one thing that you would change about high school swimming?
That is a tough question. I would say maybe, I mean, this is kind of might sound stupid, but just maybe switching the event order. I don't know. It's like sometimes
we're 2 for 2 on that.
I know.
I don't know. It's just like sometimes the dual meets when you have to like get out back to back on like certain events and you have like 2 heats in between, it's a little bit stressful. But
wait a second, you're a sprinter. You have the easiest lineup of anybody. You can anchor the medley relay, and then have a break, then swim the 50 free, have a break, then you can swim the 100 free, have a break, and then you can swim on one of the relays. You've got the easiest lineup possible.
Yes. I guess my state meet lineup is fine. Just sometimes at the dual meets, like I know the other dual meet that I had to swim like 3 events essentially back to back to back, and I was a little
That's
tired.
Just a workout that Rose is doing to make you guys think that,
he definitely did that on purpose.
Of course he did. We'll have him on and we'll get the truth out of him.
What is your favorite thing that Coach Rose says at practice?
That's another one I have to like think. He does like to talk during practice. I don't know. I feel like, I know. So, he's very, on top of like making sure that we're always on time. So sometimes when, people don't show up on time, and sometimes me and Maggie are a little bit guilty of this. He does like to give us little pep talks about how, okay, we need to be on time next time. Like on time isn't arriving at 7:30. It's getting there 5 minutes before 7:25. So even though I do try and walk in right at 7:30, which I'll work on that.
And then finally, what's one of your favorite sets that you do, either with Coach Brent or with Coach Rose? What's one of your favorite sets to do?
I think I've kind of talked about this. I always love the high quality sets. I don't think there's really like a specific thing. Usually it's where we do like 200s, then 500s fast, then 650s fast. Like I kind of like that slow, like moving from the harder distance to the shorter distance. But I feel like that's what I've.
I love how you called the 200 harder distance.
Well, the longer distance. I can do 200, but I definitely like just doing the quick 50s a lot better.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out. I know that senior year is a year full of excitement and plenty of things going on. First day of school, I'm sure we'll see some pictures on Instagram or Facebook of you and your sister getting all dressed up for the first day of school. I just really hope that you have a great time this high school season. Phil and I will both be in Waukesha for the state meet to watch you swim again. And we would like to wish you the best when you go to Madison next year to swim as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I was great talking to you guys, kind of going through my season, my swim career. But again, yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Abby.
Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.